This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and the footage that you're looking at right here is drone footage showing Hurricane Milton making its way to Florida. It should arrive by tonight or tomorrow morning as of the making of this video. People are preparing for this right now in unprecedented, never before seen ways, like literally strapping down their entire house as this Category 5 hurricane Milton is now barreling towards the Tampa Bay area. You've got the mainstream media outlets showing these kinds of graphics, projecting what it may potentially look like should they get a surge like this of 9 feet or maybe 15 feet, as some people are projecting to happen. And in case you guys didn't know, there's a big debate happening right now online about whether or not the government has the ability to manipulate and or control the weather. People are asking, is this science or is this fiction? And Joe Biden has even chimed in on this debate right now, saying, we're controlling the weather? That's beyond ridiculous. This has got to stop. Listen to this.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
Beyond ridiculous. It just absolutely has to stop. Well, it's interesting that he would call it beyond ridiculous when the United States was one of 48 other states that signed on to the Environmental Modification Convention, the Convention on Prohibition of Military or Other Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques. This convention bans weather warfare, which is the use of weather modification techniques for the purposes of inducing damage or destruction. The Convention on Biological Diversity of 2010 would also ban some forms of weather modification or geoengineering. This was brought on by the Secretary General of the United Nations, but no, it's just a wild conspiracy theory. Or what about this leaked 2009 memo that shows that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was contacted by the Department of Homeland Security to collaborate on hurricane modifications? The NOAA ended up rejecting this, saying they didn't support any research that entails efforts to modify hurricanes because, one, inconclusive scientific results may happen, and two, there's the inability to separate the difference between what happens when a hurricane is modified by human intervention versus a hurricane's natural behavior. Again, this is the Department of Homeland Security talking to the NOAA. And Biden, of course, is just calling this all a ridiculous conspiracy theory. In fact, the MSM is saying that no, Hurricane Helen was not geoengineered by the government. And BBC here is saying no, Hurricane Milton was not engineered. But they have all the answers for you in the MSN here. Make no mistake, climate change has turned Hurricane Milton into a monster. That's right. Here's how climate change is the thing that's affecting the season, and you should be furious at the political class for enabling this climate catastrophe. So isn't that interesting? On the one hand, they're saying, no, it's absolutely ridiculous to even think that it's possible that human beings could possibly modify or affect the weather, while on the very other hand, out of the other side of their mouth, they're saying, yes, it is human beings that is causing this weather to get bad the way it is. But do you see what's happening here, folks? They're essentially saying it's not us, it's you who is the problem, driving in your SUVs and being a capitalist with your factories. It's absolutely insane, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we know what's been driving climate change ever since the creation of this universe. It is the sun and always will be the sun. We're going to talk about all of this and much more in this video. But really quickly, guys, before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. If you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info, you can do one-time donation with PayPal. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies by clicking there. You could sign up to this Patreon alternative or Subscribestar for a monthly reoccurring contribution. Thank you so much to everybody who does contribute in that way. You can send an e-transfer to Dan at pressfortruth.ca, or you can send stuff to my P.O. box, guys. Links for all of this are located in the description below on whatever video platform you happen to be watching this on. Thank you so much to everybody who takes 1 minute today to support my efforts to bring you this information here at Press for Truth. All right, let's start with this ridiculous article that kind of blatantly lays it all out for me. You should be furious at the political class for enabling this climate catastrophe. As another massive hurricane bears down on Florida, let's remember that our climate is worsening for entirely preventable reasons, and the scale of these disasters is not, quote, natural. They go on to say here, hurricanes have occurred throughout living memory, and every hurricane season is going to have deadly storms. But warming oceans make the storms worse, causing higher wind speeds, heavier rainfalls, and more severe surge. The warming itself is, of course, caused mostly by burning fossil fuels. This is an absolute blatant lie. This is absolutely not true. It's funny how they've had to put in the word mostly caused by this, because I think maybe the author knows that that's a little bit of a ridiculous claim as well. They say this really isn't complicated. We have to stop fossil fuels as rapidly as possible because they're causing a massive global calamity that is not just bringing us the worst storms, but it's drawing us closer to irreversible tipping points that will escalate the speed of change and cause human suffering on an unprecedented level. Be afraid. Be afraid of what's coming on unprecedented levels. Do you guys, does any of this sound familiar? Do you remember when this man was pushing a lot of this stuff a long time ago now? A lot of the predictions that he made about what was going to come in the near future to the climate, none of which has come to pass. Who could forget when, you had like major papers like the Star saying that scientists are predicting a new ice age by the 21st century. This is Time magazine back in 1974 talking about that another ice age is what you have to be worried about here. This is one from Newsweek, April 28, 1975, The Cooling World. Of course, none of this came to fruition. There was stuff like this going out. Earth can explode as a result of global warming. This is from 2004. So the paranoia and the propaganda has just been insane. And look at this article, how it says you're going to suffer at unprecedented levels. Scientists say, who study planetary vital signs, say that we are imperiling the very fabric of life on our planet, causing an abrupt climate upheaval which jeopardizes life on Earth like nothing humans have ever seen. We're potentially headed towards 3C of global warming by 2100 if we carry out these policies we have at the moment. The U.S. climate chief has just warned in, what is this? This article here that won't open for me for some reason, but here it is. It's too late to save Britain from overheating, says UN climate chief. That's the exact same thing that this guy said. That I think he said 2006. I believe is the year that he chose as the point of no return for, when we're going to have to make major changes. And of course, that time never came. 2006 wasn't the point of no return. And people just are very, very quick to forget this kind of thing. But yet, they hear this kind of fear mongering and are like, oh yeah, we got to absolutely go along with all of this. Despite the fact that, they've largely got it backwards, because by saying that rising CO2 levels that are caused by human beings is what's causing the sun to heat up is absolutely wrong. It's completely incorrect. It's actually the absolute opposite is the truth. It's actually naturally occurring rising temperatures in the sun that is causing the rising of natural CO2 levels here on Earth. So there isn't a correlation between humans and the fact that the sun is getting hotter. That is one of the biggest hoaxes being perpetuated upon the entire world right now, is that you are the one who is the problem here. So, like I said, they're speaking out of both hands, out of both sides of their mouth. On the one hand saying, no, it's not possible. This is just a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Beyond ridiculous. It has to stop, Biden says. while on the other hand saying, no, you are actually the one who's responsible for causing climate change because, yes, because of your dastardly ways of being a capitalist and because you like to drive around in your selfish SUVs. Do you see what they're doing here? How they've flipped the script to make you the problem, you the enemy, and guess what? When you're the one who's causing this, you're the one who has to be taxed into oblivion with a CO2 tax. You're the one who has to deal with ridiculous, laws like single-use plastics and having paper straws here in Canada instead of plastic ones. You are the one who needs to change, not us. I hope you can truly see it for what it is, guys. And I'd like to point you to this documentary that came out a while back now, The Great Global Warming Swindle. I just found a full version of this on Rumble, so I want to put a link to this in the description below. I highly recommend that you give this one a watch, guys, if you have not yet seen this, if you're a skeptic, if you're on the fence about this, if you think like Joe Biden, that it's absolutely ridiculous conspiracy theory to think that the government can possibly be doing this, or you think that, global warming or climate change is man-made, I strongly suggest you check out this phenomenal documentary, The Great Global Warming Swindle. Again, I'll put a link to that in the description below on whatever video platform you happen to be watching this on, and I strongly encourage you to do your own research. This is a fantastic resource that will explain to you what I was explaining earlier, how they've actually got the whole thing backwards, and that's actually, in fact, all by design. So once again, make sure you check that out. I will have a link in the description below, guys. Don't forget to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you do appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this information. Once again, I can't do this work without you, so thank you so much to anyone who takes a minute today to support my efforts to bring you this info here at Press for Truth. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please click the thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.